Alright, hey guys, how's it going? It's me, streaming, and tonight we're doing updating the website stats graph for the agent books. Watch here. We'll paste that. Make sure it's working. Okay, good, and good. All right, so I have the file open. This is the raw file, kind of where I saved kind of a. I don't say this is the raw file. This is the best save state to begin from every time we update the website stats graph. So this is the best starting point. It makes it as easy and as efficient as possible to update the graph. So what we have is we're in Illustrator, so Adobe Illustrator, and the challenge or the problem is, I have expanded appearance already. Let me get rid of this. Just going backwards here a little bit. Program not responding. I don't think it's actually crashed. I just think it's being, there we go. It was thinking. Okay, good. So I had, in prepping the file, I had gotten rid of stuff that we don't use for the agent books. That can stay. This can go. Okay. So here is the real starting point, and these bars right here are actually the reason we have these two colors here, we have black and white here and we have color here, is because this has this perspective added to it, and the next step that we do is we do what's called expand appearance. And when we do that, it messes with the perspective if you try and resize. So we have to resize it while it's black and white, then we expand appearance, and then add the color. So I'll just show you that as we go. But first thing is we need to get our numbers and establish our correct scale. Because you can see the template that I'm using here is back from January to June of 2017, and so we're going to go to the data here, and we have what the last 12 months are right there, November to November. I guess it would be December to November would be 12 months, and we could show the last 6 months worth of data. But these agent books will be used for a period of months, and so we generally don't want to show declining stats. So even though it makes sense, if it's starting in the summer and it goes into the winter, it makes sense that the numbers would come down a little bit. They always do, but it doesn't paint the right picture, right? So when you're presenting to a client, what you want to do is you want to show growth, right? So what we'll do here is we'll pick the appropriate 6 months, probably right here, these 6 months. So from January to June, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a range of 169 and change to 180 and change. So 169 and change to 180 and change. And we want the range to be 169 and change to 180 and change. So up here we need to be like 185. Let's try this. 185, and this would be 180, and this will be 175. That's not going to work. And this would be 170. And the reason that doesn't work is our low number was what here? Our low number was 169,366. And so that's like off the chart, right? That doesn't do any good. So maybe we do 185 to 175 to 165 to 155. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So 55 to 85 would give us, and we don't want that low number to be all the way down at the bottom. You kind of want the graph looks best, you know, with the numbers starting somewhere in the middle of the graph and then working their way up. And so let's take a look at what that was again. It was 169 and change to 180 and change. So 169 and change would be right in the middle of the graph, and 180 and change would be somewhere up here. So we have a range like that. That's probably pretty decent. So let's play with that a little bit. So I'm not going to do that adjustment yet. So we'll do 169,366. So I can grab, with this, I need this tool, I believe. Nope, I do want this tool. So I can grab there, and then as I make it smaller, yeah, it maintains proportion. So if I did this with the color ones up here, because they've already been, the appearance has already been expanded. If I did this up there, it would not work correctly. In fact, that is not correct. Just take my word for it. Then it gets weird. It's not like that. It's a larger problem. So I would do that and that, and that. It's still not going to be right, but it doesn't matter. I just know that it angles off because the appearance has been expanded already. So what we can do again is grab here, and we grab these two anchor points, and we're looking for 169 366. 169 366. So 170, and we use these little light gray lines right there and right there and right there. Those are our markers. So the best point for you to see it is right in here, versus right up there. So we want 169. It's going to be pretty much halfway between this line and that line, and we're pretty close right there. So there you can see it better if I zoom in. So we want this line right here to be the midpoint between this dash line there and this dash line there, or I guess just short of that midpoint. So I suppose it could come down a little bit, not too much. Okay, we'll call that 169,970, or 169,366. Then we have 170,200. And so we'll grab this one, we'll grab that, and shift grab that, and then this is just over 170. So it's actually going to be really close to what the other one was. It's 1,000 units more, 800 units more. so not much. And there's a 10 in this range. So that feels about right there. And this is just a graphical representation. It's a fancy, graphical representation, so it need not be perfect. It just needs to be a relatively accurate reflection of what the numbers show. So let's look at the next number, which is 171, 419. So again, we'll go here, grab that anchor point, shift, grab that anchor point. So we're at 171. Oh gosh, 171, 419. So we're up 1200. So here we were up 800. Here we're up 1200. So it should be a larger jump than the last time. So there's the jump there, there's the jump there. That might be just a little bit too much. Let's go back down a little bit. Again, we're looking for 171, 419. So just a reality check here. This is 175, that's 165. $165. So 170 is somewhere in the middle, and 171 and change. That has to be larger than that though, so we're going to go up just one little notch, and I think we'll be good at that. So that was 171, 419. Then we have 179, 700. 179, 700. So that's this guy. Grab that, shift grab that. So it's really 179. Is that 179? 171. No, 179, 700. So it's going to be the midpoint here. So 179, 700. 180 is the midpoint, so it's just shy of the midpoint. So let's call that right about there. And then we have 173, 643. So a little bit of a drop there. 173. So this is a third of the way up. All right. And then we have 180, 690, which will be a little bit more than half of the way, a little bit more than halfway. So that previous one over here, that guy right there was less. So that was 2 months back. That was 179, 700. Here we are at 180, 690. So it's about 1,000 units up. So it's 1/10 higher than that one. So we got to go up just a little bit more here. And maybe we should bring this one down just a little bit. And that's kind of what the numbers look like. Which isn't horrible. I'd like to see a little bit more range. So we could get more range out of this if we change the scale. So we would do smaller ranges. We can't get too small, otherwise they fell off the bottom. So let's look at, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break here, do what I should have done a minute ago. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to copy that, and let's just paste that anywhere for reference. Now we don't have to go back and forth anymore. And I know this was or ended in June. I'll go back. Spoke too soon. So we started with January. Go from January to June. Oh, that's nice. So the same month sequence. Let's just plug in the numbers here. So this is 169, 366. This is 170, 200. This is March 171, 419. There's some good year-over-year growth. This is April, fourth number down, 179, 700. Some good growth as well, about 5% since last year. May goes from 165 to 173. And June goes from 166, 764 up to 180, 690. So those are last year's numbers compared to this year's numbers. And we have a 6-month trailing average. We can calculate that really quickly. So this is just going to be equal to the average of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 174, 170, 174, 170. Okay, so we have the numbers updated here. The range doesn't look that bad, but I think we can do better. So how do we accomplish that? I like 185 at the high range because it pulls these numbers at the top. So what we really want to do is bring all this down, which means that we would need a higher number here. So in order to bring that bottom number higher, we need to make these drops lower. So we need to make these drops less significant, I should say. And I don't want to get into like 2500s, but I guess we could. So it's 1,000. 170,000 is what we had, or 175,000. So 180, I know this doesn't work, but just for me to mentally see it, let's just plug the numbers in here. Okay, now this doesn't work, so it works on the high end, 185. That's where these numbers are essentially situated. But this 169, 366 falls off the bottom of the chart. It's a negative territory, so we can't do that. So jumping by 10,000s is too much. Jumping by 5,000s is too little. So we really want to go by like 7,500s. So that would mean that we have one 7,500 is going to be 10,000 would be 175 plus 2,500 more is 177.5, and then whoops, 177.5, and then 75,000 less on that is 170, and then 7,500 less on that is 162,500. Is that right? Am I getting this math correct here? I believe that is correct. So I think that's going to give us a better range. Let's just copy this really quick. And then we could mess with these blocks. Whoops, we're going to go to the correct tool. Alright, so this is 169,366. It'll be just shy of 170. And then this one is 172. Whoa. Did not make the correct selection there. There we go. Oh, still not good. Let's start over. Let's click here, there, and there. There we go. 170, 200, so we're just over the line. And then here we're 171, 419. And we only have 7,500 now, so we're 1/7 of the way up. And then 179, 700. 179 is going to take us to about there. And then 173, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4,500, so less than the halfway mark on this one. Okay. And then here, 180. That's 2,500 there. Take it to 180. So this is going to be two-thirds of the way up. Excuse me, 1/3 of the way up is where this should be. Okay. Alright, so what that gives us is a little bit more. I'm going to paste the other one here. I copied it right before we started moving stuff, and I'll just put it here. So what you can see is by changing the numbers here, changing this range, it created this more depth. These numbers here are a little unfortunate. These numbers are so close, it doesn't make for a terribly interesting graph. But having this range tighter, it makes this graph looks more interesting than this graph. You just see more range. So let's take one more look at the numbers and see if there's more interesting range that we can choose. So let's say we started from April, May, June, July, August, September. So we have a 6,000 unit drop, a 7,000 gain, 1,000 unit drop again, and then recovery. These numbers are largely the same: 179.7, 180, 179. So the graph would just look kind of up, down, up, down. If we went from March to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 171 up to 179, down to 173, up to 180. That is decline. And that's not what we want to show. So these 6 would make sense. Let's see what they look like, huh? Shall we? So get rid of this guy. Alright. And we'll paste this other set of numbers here. Let's graph these guys up, see what they look like. Before we do that though, let's copy out what we did here. We'll paste it, just kind of keep it off to the side in case we want to come back to it. And let's mess with this. So how are we in the range? High value is 179, 180, 690. Low value is 173. Oh, that's pretty good actually, because we could go back to the more normal scale here, I think. So if we went to 180 and then 175 and then 170, we're going to make that 170 even. And then we're going to, again, grab these and size them correctly. So 179, 700 would be really close to 180 there. And then this guy is 173. So that's, what, 3/5 of the way up, so somewhere around there. And then this person is 180, 690, so it's just above the value there. 180, 690, so it's 10% actually, so that looks about right. And then we have 179, 921. 179, 921, so really close. And then we've got 176, 890, 176, 890 is 177, so about 2/5 of the way up, a little less than 2/5 of the way up. Okay. And then last we have 179, 455. Probably right about there. Okay. So which graph is visually more appealing and paints the right picture? So I think this graph is more interesting. But this graph shows nice growth. So it's getting bigger every month. It goes, there's a drop, there's this anomaly that's got really a lot of traffic in April, or it says April, but I don't think it's really April. Or yeah, it is. It's the one we did before. This is the new one. So I think we stick with this one, January to June, except the other one was, the advantage of the other one was it's a little bit more recent, which I'm not sure if it really matters because we use these, like I said, for a period of months. Which one do I like more? I think I'm going to have to go with this guy. Just because it looks like it's just, the curve's more consistent. This is a little bit more chaos. This seems a little, there's an anomaly here, with April being significant and then dropping back down in May. But this one just feels more reliable. I do like the scale better on this, the 5,000 increment jumps as opposed to the 7,500 increment jumps. But I don't think that really matters. Alright, we're going to go with this. And it's always changing, right? So next time we print the agent books, we'll update it again, and we'll again look for a good 6-month selection that paints a pretty picture. So then I'm just going to undo everything. Okay. All right, let's check our numbers. 169, 366, 169, 366, 170, 200, 170, 200, 171, 419, 171, 419, 179, 700, 179, 700, 173, 643, 173, 643, 180, 690, 180, 690. That trailing average, 174, 170, was based off of January. So we'll just double check our number here too of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 174, 170, 174, 170. All right, this becomes January 2018 to June 2018. And then now that we have that, I can get rid of these numbers. I no longer need them. We're going to save this. I always like to save this as the black and white file before we edit it. So we're going to call this June 18 black and white Adobe Illustrator, and we'll hit OK. And then that's our save point, because now once we do the next round, we're changing stuff. So I've used the black pointer tool as opposed to the white pointer tool. White pointer tool, I can make individual selections of boxes. When I use the black pointer tool, it selects the group together. Now that I have the group selected, I can go to Object, Expand Appearance. And you can see that it goes from what it was, which is individual rectangles extrapolated into this three-dimensional object. Now what it's done is it's actually said, forget the original rectangles. We just now need to look at, we're actually going to create this three-dimensional object. So I'll show you guys now what I was talking about before. So I'm going to highlight, oops, those are the bars. So I'm going to lock that object, transform, object lock selection. Okay, now I'm going to grab this whole thing, and you'll see if I go up really, really, really high, see how the angle changes right there? Or I'll show you better. I should not do too many selections here. Object lock selection, okay? Because I just undid that. So I'm going to highlight this again, and as I go down, it's easier to see it when you go down. You see how it is tilted now? It's tilted off to the side. It's not square up anymore. It's because we expanded the appearance. So we have to not expand the appearance until we've sized them. Now that we've sized them, we have expanded the appearance, and now we have these different elements. We have a face here, a face here, a face there. All these different faces are now individual elements. And so what we can do is we can begin to drag the colors into them. So 1, 2, and then there's more work that has to be done after we drag these gradients into the graph. We have to mess with the angles. So to make the lighting look correct, we have to change the angles, otherwise it just looks a little funky and silly. And we also have to make sure that we We have a different gradient in the middle here because we have shadow. Oh, and I forgot to do the top of this guy. There's the top of that guy. And then here's the interior. Let's undo that and try again. Oh boy, let's try again. Okay, that's correct. It just looks wrong because the angle is wrong. It has the black shadow at the front, and that's why we're seeing it that way. That's easily fixable in a moment by just changing our angles. Okay, so now we have the colors brought forward. Now what we want to do is we want to work on the angle. So if I click on this gradient, you can see here that the gradient has an angle of -90. And then here, you can see this gradient has an angle of 0. So if I change this gradient to an angle of -90, it's darker at the bottom and it gets lighter towards the top, just like its counterpart up here. So we want to make these angles the same. The tops are all at 0 degrees. Good. So we'll check the tops here. They're probably also all at 0 degrees. I think all the gradients default to 0 degrees when you drag copy them. And so on the sides here we're at -90 as well. So I'm not sure if I can do a multiple selection here. Let's try. No, it doesn't matter. So -90, -90, -90, -90, -90, -90. This guy is at -90 as well. -90. So we have the tops all at 0. We have the inside shaded portions all at -90. And I think the faces all need to be -90 too. So we did the first face here. Now we have to do the rest. And then once we set these all to -90, we should have ourselves an updated graph that we can then put into the new version of the Agent books. And I'm going to do that tomorrow. But we got a nice head start on it because I can get rid of this. We no longer need that anymore. And there we go. Let's do one more reality check here, shall we? 169, 366, 170, 200, 171, 419, 179, 700, 173, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. So it's 4,000. Okay. And then 186.90, 77, 78, 79, 80, 5, that's 3, and then 5. All right, good. Fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to spend some more time working on the Agent books tomorrow, and I will stream for that as well. Until then, if you guys need anything, you know who to call. I'm always happy to help. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, good night, guys. Bye-bye.